Who are the bad influences? Who's going to ridicule your decisions? Who's going to create unhealthy conflict and keep your fresh wounds from healing? Who will try to sabotage you out of fear that they will have to make a change? And ask yourself if they were worth keeping close at all, or if they were just lost and lonely people who you attracted while you yourself were lost and lonely too. All right, welcome back to Getting Sober, Again, my name is Jay, and today we're gonna ask a question. Are you surrounding yourself with toxic people? But first, make sure that you're subscribed by hitting the subscribe button down below, and make sure to leave a comment for either me or a member of our awesome community in the comment section down below. And before you forget, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and let's get started with today's topic. Are you surrounding yourself with toxic people? Remember the quote, misery loves company? Do you have people in your life that would say something like, oh, come on, one drink won't hurt? Or, come on, let's drink, I'll put it on my tab. Or, we're all gonna die someday, so what's the point in being sober? Let's have a little bit of fun. A lot of people struggle with the idea of being lonely. For some people with autophobia, which is not the fear of cars, the idea and experience of spending time alone can cause severe anxiety. Still, there are no official definitions of autophobia. Autophobia is complex, and it may be difficult to distinguish from separation anxiety disorder, fears of abandonment, disorder attachment, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Autophobia versus loneliness. Autophobia is not the same as feeling lonely. Loneliness refers to the negative emotion that arises when a person feels that they have too few social interactions or meaningful connections. People can feel lonely even when they're with others. Having autophobia involves severe anxiety triggered by the idea of spending time alone. What if we started looking at loneliness as the opportunity to retool your mind, body, and soul? Taking the opportunity to go back to the school of life and stop hanging out with the flunkies who don't want to graduate to the next level. It's important to take time for yourself, to come into your own power, to know thyself. Or what'll happen is you'll keep falling prey to these toxic people, and you will never be strong enough to know who you really are and then break them out of their patterns. Lose a friend, lose a soul. But remember, everyone else is not your responsibility, just like you are not anyone else's responsibility. It's you that needs to be mindful of the messages that you're receiving. It's you that needs to take care of your inner child. It's you that needs to take care of this vehicle that we were gifted to navigate this life in. And remember to take this vehicle in for service regularly, not just when you're having a mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional breakdown. Surrounding yourself with the wrong people will drain you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Surrounding yourself with the wrong people can leave you a day late and a buck short, or even worse, decades late and a lifetime of opportunities missed. People who will talk you out of bettering yourself because they will be exposed. Exposed for not being a true friend, for not having your best interests in mind. Exposed for being selfish, egotistical, and manipulative. Have you ever met people like this? People that I like to call energy vampires. A person who commands your attention. A person who makes it all about them. A person who pretends to listen but changes the subject and once again, steals your attention. A person who constantly outsuffers your suffering. A person who is overly dramatic most of, if not all of the time. You know that when they call, it won't be to see how you are or that they're calling to be of service to you. It'll be something self-serving, anxiety-inducing, and leave you feeling regretful, drained, and even duped. In the flow of life, there are beginnings and ends. Things will come and go. Relationships will blossom and die off. Energy is created and used. And with these toxic people, their emptiness thrives on your goodness, on your energy. They thrive on controlling you, on manipulating you. They measure their success by seeking attention and having the game played their way. And in this environment, this turbulence, this storm, you'll find it hard to take shelter and to rest and recharge. These people will guilt you for taking your precious time for you and not spending it on them. When you do finally take the time that you need, after ignoring calls and strategically saying no enough times instead of making excuses that seems like you're leaving the door open, then these people do what? Then they change their tone, but in a deceptive way. The balance between you and these people tends to be 25% to 75% in the favor of the manipulator. Or in some cases, that ratio is even worse. In some cases, these people may seem to control the entire 100% of any given situation. Situations like what you do, where you go, what you eat, what you wear, and how to think. Because what a toxic person fears the most is losing control. These people are massively out of balance and will continue to leave you feeling used, confused, and abused. Because you never found your strength. You never took enough time back for you. You were constantly in a mortally wounded position mentally, emotionally, and or spiritually, which left you helpless and defenseless every time these energy vampires chose to feed from the neck of your life force. When these people feel threatened, simply by having to make a change, by having to do something different, when they feel like they're being abandoned or losing control, they often resort to desperate and toxic behaviors, lashing out at you, gaslighting you into making you feel like you're crazy, judging you and not being truly supportive of your needs. Does that sound familiar? You might ask, well, what is gaslighting? It's psychological brainwashing. Gaslighting is a type of emotional and or mental abuse when someone uses manipulation and distraction tactics to distort the truth and making their victims question their own reality. It can happen in any type of close relationship, including romantic relationships, but also between family members, coworkers, and friends. Take this moment to think about the people in your life that fit this description. To identify who you may need to separate yourself from on your journey into sobriety and or just life in general. Who are the bad influences? Who's going to ridicule your decisions? Who's going to create unhealthy conflict and keep your fresh wounds from healing? Who will try to sabotage you out of fear that they will have to make a change? And ask yourself if they were worth keeping close at all, or if they were just lost and lonely people who you attracted while you yourself were lost and lonely too. Here are some examples of gaslighting and manipulative tactics. These people may say something along the lines of, "I only did it because I love you," or "I'm not cheating, you're just paranoid," or "No one will ever love you but me," or "You made me do this to you." These people will make you feel like you're never going to be good enough for them. They will never be satisfied even if you give them 100% of your time, energy, and attention. Sobriety isn't just about stopping the act of putting an alcoholic beverage to your lips. It's about removing toxic substances, mindsets, and people from your life. When you were a kid, did you dream of marrying an alcoholic? Did you imagine that the partner of your dreams would have to marry an alcoholic? Did you say that you weren't going to be like your parents, but lo and behold, you didn't change or alter your course because they were toxic people who controlled the outcome of your life? Ultimately, we are responsible for our own course. Many people don't know better tools, better resources for coping, and better people to surround themselves with. Yet. I can't stress this enough. Yet. Remember, sobriety is a journey, not a task. There is no finish line. It's simply a route to becoming your best self. But once you're aware of your shortcomings, once you're aware of the signs of toxic people, it's your responsibility to do something about it. I've met so many people who weren't allowed to think a certain way, or to be a certain way, to dress a certain way, to live a certain way, to love a certain way, that weren't given the support to move away from home, or to go off to college, or to travel or explore the world, or to even explore their own sexuality or religion. Toxic people manifest toxic behaviors, mindsets, and manipulate the decisions of those around them. They limit you from truly finding your own power, from being the best that you can be, or even just being slightly better than you are now. Personally, I'd rather spend the day with one person who cares about me, and that's myself, than to be in a room full of people who just wanted to be looked at, catered to, and use toxic substances and toxic behaviors. Perhaps it's you who are the toxic person. Maybe it's you who finds himself surrounded by exhausted people who are reluctantly ready to heed to every beck and call. And maybe it's you who now has the opportunity to use your powers for good instead of evil. Theodore Roosevelt said that nothing in this world is worth having or worth doing unless it means effort, pain, and difficulty. No kind of life is worth leading if it's always an easy life. Remember, make the sacrifices that you need to make. Have the difficult conversations that you need to have. And take the time to serve yourself and bring yourself the healing before worrying about the needs of others. Take the extra steps necessary to get closer to your goals. Find your strength. Find your courage. Find your voice. Be the change that you want to see in the world at all cost. To let your light shine brightly and attract those who are lost, so that when you find your strength, and when you find your courage, and when you find your voice, then and only then can you and should you consider being of service to others. Until then, protect your energy and protect your light. If you like this content, make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below and turn your notifications to all so that you can get updated when we go live for our weekly live streams and chats. And if you want to be of greater service to this community, consider becoming an official supporter of this channel by donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/gettingsoberagain. Everyone who supports our Patreon gets free official merchandise and access to tons of helpful articles to help you along your journey into sobriety. And with that, I want to wish you good luck on your journey, and I will see you in the next video.